Recursion. So in this video I'm gonna explain about the basics of the recursion, or as all know this as the recursive function. So in this video I'm gonna explain this in the simplest way as possible. So first of all, recursion is the recursive function is the function which calls to itself. So all recursion does is like it divides the work into smaller parts, thus minimizing the code base. So all recursion does is like it divides the big chunk of code into smaller part, and thus making it more easier for the user or the programmer to work on debugging the code. So generally recursive functions are iterative or iterative. General and recursive function have two main cases. Cases are what you can call as cases. And first is the base case, and the other is the recursive case. So in base case, the program is simple to be iterated. So in the base case, the program is so simple that it can be executed without the further iteration, and the recursive case is the one where the function call itself. So all recursion does is like it works on the principle of stack. So all recursion works on the principle of stack. So all stacking arguments, stacking argument. So all basically recursion does is like it minimizes the main fundamental of programming, which is the DRY principle, and here DRY stands for don't repeat yourself. Don't repeat yourself. So recursion is the function which calls to itself, and thus it minimizes the code. So let me explain this by a famous example of the factorial. So all factorial does is like, for example, if we have to find the factorial of 7, we do this as 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So all this done, and this evaluates to I think some 5040. So all recursion, so factorial is something like we can evaluate this as more efficiently as 7 times 6 factorial. So we can do this in a program, in C program, by using the recursive function. So let me start this by including the preprocessor, which is the stdio.h, and this is the main function. Here I am creating the blueprint of the factorial function, and it is the integer type, so it has an argument int, and all this is the blueprint of the function. So in the main method, in the main function, I am declaring one variable n, and I'm gonna prompt the user to type the number. Sorry, I missed the enter the number. So the user types the number. User is prompted to type the number, and the number is saved or inputted using the inbuilt function of the stdio.h, which is the scanf function. And here the format specifier %d for the integer type, and the %n for storing it. And I have made here the blueprint of the factorial function, so I'm gonna call it here int factorial, and here one dummy variable I, and in the factorial function there has to be two cases, the base case and the recursive case. First, the base case. For if I is equal to I equals to 1, then it should return 1. Otherwise else it should return I times the factorial of I minus 1. This all and this, the first part is the base case and the second part is the recursive case. It is recursive in the sense that it calls the function within itself. The main function here is the factorial function, and here the factorial function is called within the factorial function. So this is what the recursion is all about. I have mentioned it here. All I am doing is, like, if I have to find the factorial of 7, I can do is as 7 times 6 factorial. So this code is doing just that. So I'm going to declare one integer here, which is the factorial, and the factorial stores the data from the function factorial, taking the argument n, and it has to display the user some data. For this I am using printf. The factorial of %d is %d. The first %d is n, and the second %d should be fact. So I'm going to execute this program. I am using here the CS50 IDE, and I'm going to make t1 so ./t1 no source directory, also ./t1. So enter the number, and I am inserting the number 7, so it should give the result something like 5 times 7 times 6 times 4 times 3 times 2, which is 5040. Let me hit the enter button and check it here. So it is giving the exact the factorial of 7, which is the 5040. All this is doing is calling the function within itself with two cases, the base case and the recursive case. So this was the basics of the recursion and the most popular example of the recursion, which is the factorial. So if you like the video, like, comment, share and subscribe.